Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and for those of you who are new, welcome to Probably at Disney. I am following up on one of Disney's most recent reveals amidst an already busy news year, and that's the announcement that Hollywood Studios' animation Courtyard will be renamed Walt Disney Studios, and that Star Wars Launch Bay is being replaced by a new version of the magic of Disney animation, but inspired by the 2023 award-winning short Once Upon a Studio and designed to look just like the Roy E. Disney Animation Studio in Burbank, California. Overall, the reception to this announcement has been mostly positive. If you've watched my previous video, you know I'm on board because this is a callback to both the park and the company's history. It's an experience for everyone and should represent dozens upon dozens of Disney characters. And it gives Hollywood Studios some of its identity back since it's intending to recreate a bit of California, movie making, and a Disney studio within Hollywood Studios. But since I've last talked with you, I have come across some additional information about this upcoming redo, and I do have some theories I'd like to run by you as well. So, first of all, I want to acknowledge that this news means Hollywood Studios now has 4 new experiences on the roster for next year, which is 2026, with the first being the Mandalorian and Grogu overlay coming to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run on May 22nd. The other 3 now include Muppets Rock and Roller Coaster, the new Magic of Disney animation with its various activities and experiences, and a brand new Disney Junior show, which, while this hasn't been confirmed, is expected to feature Bluey. I'm expecting Disney to confirm that at Destination D23 next month, so stay tuned for that. But we also now know that Imagineer Danny Handke, who was responsible for Disney Cruise Line's Worlds of Marvel, the Haunted Mansion Parlor, and the soon-to-be opening Zootopia Better Zootgether show at Animal Kingdom's Tree of Life, he is the creative director for this project. And here's what he shared on Instagram about this news. I think you'll like it. We're bringing back the magic of Disney animation. I'm proud to be the creative director for this one. Inspired by my favorite short, Once Upon a Studio, the new attraction is a love letter to Disney animation past, present, and future, opening in 2026. And since he has a history of working with Walt Disney Animation, I'm pretty confident that all the characters, the charm, and nostalgia from Once Upon a Studio will be translated into this new park offering. But speaking of Once Upon a Studio, I want to point out that the poster for the experience featured characters from the films that were animated at this park and Walt Disney Feature Animation back in the day, including Mulan, Lilo and Stitch, and Brother Bear. Also, Mushu, the host of one of the Magic of Disney Animation's pre-show videos, is prominently featured here. And I also have to point out, Olaf has a pencil in hand, a reference to that awesome scene from the Once Upon a Studio short where he's actually animating. And we also have Robin Williams' Genie in the background. Robin Williams also co-hosted a film for the original Magic of Disney animation called Back to Neverland that accompanied the tour, which this building used to offer back when it was connected to a functioning studio. So a lot of park history has kind of made its way in this poster, and I really appreciated that. Moving right along though, this next one's a bit obvious, but it's still worth pointing out, and that is the fact that a Mickey Sorcerer's hat has found its way back to Hollywood Studios, but in a much more subtle way. For reference, Disney constructed a massive Mickey Sorcerer's hat right in front of the Chinese theater back in 2001, and which became the park's new icon until it was removed in 2015. And while I'm talking about icons, I'm going to drift into theory territory for a second before I get back to the facts, so please bear with me. But I'm wondering if we could get the park's original Earffel Tower icon out of this redo. The reason I say this is Animation Courtyard is being transformed into a replica of Walt Disney Studios, and Launch Bay is being redesigned to replicate the Roy E. Disney Studio in Burbank, and there is a famous water tower there. You can even see it in the opening of Once Upon a Studio. Furthermore, I came across this water bottle earlier this year at Hollywood Studios in a gift shop, and I took a picture of it because I thought it was kind of strange since that tower has been gone for years now. But in light of this news and the fact that there have been instances where Disney Park merch has preceded changes and additions, so I don't know, there may be something here. And while I'm already speculating, I'm going to share another theory of mine that's definitely more of a stretch than the Earffel Tower, and that's that Hollywood Studios may be headed for a name change. It is no secret that Disney wanted to do this years ago and even floated potential names, but nothing came from it. But with the return of a focus on animation and movie making and the removal of that archway to allow park guests to see Hollywood iconography like the Chinese Theater and the Roy E. Disney Animation Studio building at the same time, I have to wonder if Disney is leaning back into Hollywood Studios' unique identity and focus. If so, what if changing Animation Courtyard to Walt Disney Studios is signaling a wider change? And what if the park itself is going to be renamed Walt Disney Studios Park instead of Hollywood Studios? After all, Disneyland Paris's Walt Disney Studios Park is losing that name and being renamed Disney Adventure World, leaving that studio name up for grabs. Perhaps that name change wasn't just for Paris, but also for plans for Florida as well. And could it be that this is why Disney dropped this Animation Courtyard announcement now and ahead of D23 in order to formally explain the park's new name and all of its additions at the D23 event? You will have to let me know what you think about this, both the return of the Earffel Tower and a possible name change for the park in the comments. Is this possible, or am I just armchair Imagineering? Please let me know. But getting back to the facts and information, something that I missed in my first study of the concept art and which has been revealed online is the inclusion of the famous Mickey Avenue and Dopey Drive sign along with the Pluto fire hydrant that's actually at the studio in Burbank. That is going to make such a great photo op and really make guests feel like they're visiting the studio. Also, that planter and sign that's replacing the arch, it is exactly the same design as the entrance to the studio in California. Finally, it is worth noting that there will be some cosmetic changes to the Disney Junior Show building, which is being renamed the Soundstage, as those awnings and character meet and greet locations will be removed to make way for more shade and seating, and which looks so much better in my opinion. And I think the removal of the arch and opening up this space is going to allow for more of a flow and different sight lines between the courtyard and the Brown Derby restaurant next door. And being able to see the Brown Derby may further add to the Hollywood focus for this corner of the park. As a reminder, Star Wars Launch Bay, the current Disney Junior Show, and Animation Courtyard as a whole is set to close on September 24th of this year. The new Magic of Disney Animation and Walt Disney Studios has yet to receive an opening date, but I do think it's interesting that we seemingly have more detail about this redo than we have about Monstropolis replacing Muppets Courtyard. Just an observation. So there you have it. That is some additional information as well as some theories of mine about Hollywood Studios' new and confirmed plans for Animation Courtyard and Star Wars Launch Bay. Of course, there'll be so much more to come on this subject, but if you enjoyed today's video, if you can't get enough Disney park news and analysis, I would so appreciate if you would consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. Furthermore, again, let me know your take on the theories that I shared and if you spotted anything in the concept art that I might have missed. But in the meantime, thank you for taking the time to watch, and I hope you have a magical day.